Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining our Signworld Public webinar today. It is February 11th, 2026. I still can't get 26 in my brain. It just seems crazy, but here we are for another session with some of our Signworld owners that have joined us today to be panelists to answer questions that many that are looking at this business would like to have answered. So for those of you who have never watched or participated in a session, just a quick overview of what you can anticipate over the course of this next hour. First, we're going to have the panelists, our owners, introduce themselves. They're going to give some details about themselves, their businesses, where they're located, their backgrounds, 2024 sales targets, maybe their 2026 target if they've already figured out what that might be, top customers, things like that. So you better understand a little bit about them, their world, and their businesses. After they do their introductions, then we're going to turn it over to the participants that have joined us for the session to ask questions that they have, and each of the owners will give their own individual responses to those questions. So excited to have the session today with a great panel of owners that we have present. I don't like to say oldest to youngest. We always go by years in business, not by actual age. But let's go ahead and let Mr. Don Conklin do an introduction first about himself and the business. Go ahead, Don.
All right. So, name is Don Conklin. My wife Teresa and I opened up the business in 2011. So that's 15 years ago. Started with 2,000 square feet, 2 employees. We're now at 12,500 square feet, 22 employees. Last year we did 6.1 million. This year we're looking to do close to 6.5 million, depending on the economy and things like that. And before this, I was in the telecommunication industry.
Perfect. Tell us a little bit about your top customers that you have today, whether that's last year, this year, projects you're working on. Just give us some ideas.
Well, my largest customers wind up being multi-state customers. I'm really big into the self-storage business right now. So I do a lot of self-storage locations across the country. So I've actually used a ton of Signworld owners to install stuff for me across the country. So
that's awesome. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that overview, Don. We appreciate it. And I don't know, we're going to have a toss up here because I just realized both Kelly and Jim started in 2021. So Kelly, what month were you in 2021?
We actually incorporated in December of 2020, so January, I would say.
Okay. And Jim?
I did the same, but I count my start date as April 1st. That's when we went live on our website and had our space.
All right. Well, you just answered one of the questions that you need to share, which is what your start date is. Kelly, it sounds like you're slightly older than Jim. So let's go ahead and have you do an introduction next.
More ways than one, for sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Kelly. I started the Milwaukee Sign Company. We incorporated back in 2020 and then started early January out of my dining room until we got our space, which is, roughly the summertime of 2021. We're actually located in Sussex, Wisconsin. It's a suburb of Milwaukee, but we service the greater Milwaukee area. The reason we're not in Milwaukee is real estate's cheaper here. So that's where we landed for the space that we needed. As I mentioned, how long we've been in business. Our facility, it's the one we started in. We're about 3,300 square feet. And we are looking to move, expand, et cetera, maybe buy a building. We're out of space. We grew out of the space maybe in year 4, and we've been kind of getting by for now. We're currently at 5 employees, not including myself. Last year we booked 2.25 million, and we closed about 1.9. And our target this year, rough target, is we want to close 2 million. That's what we're shooting for. Our biggest customers here, we've got a few. We don't really have any giant customer, but we have some good sized customers. We have one of the local hospitals here. We're doing about 200K a year with them. A couple airport hangars. Those are at about 240,000. A couple construction companies, and those were maybe 225, 235. And those are the kinds of customers. We don't have any really large anchor type customers, but we have some very steady customers that we do a great business with. And then my background is engineering. It was corporate escapee in 2020, and engineering is my background.
Awesome. Thanks for that overview, Kelly. We appreciate you being here today. All right, Jim, your youngest owner. Go ahead with your introduction today.
Fantastic. Yeah, that don't get called that very often. So, I'm Jim Stapleton. We are First Impression Signs and Graphics. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. We started, as we've already determined, in 2021 with 2,000 square feet in a industrial business park. We have since expanded into a second bay, so now we have 4,000 square feet. Let's see what else. Numbers. Last year we just barely beat $1 million, so that was good. This year, my official goal for the team is 1.2 and a stretch goal of 1.5. Largest customers, kind of like Kelly, I don't have any, one major customer. So that's good or bad, but so we're very diverse. We do, a lot of business in the $10,000 to $50,000 range of orders. I don't know if I've done $100,000 order yet or not, but we've gotten close. Last year, I know we worked with some, even a neighborhood association and did some large masonry and precast monument signs for them. So that was an $80,000 order. Yesterday, we put up a $25,000 order on a large car dealership corporate office. So lots of orders in that range, and none of them represent more than 5% of my overall business.
Awesome. All good stuff. Thanks for those introductions there. So now we get to turn the floor over to our participants. At this time, we only got one logged in, which is shocking. Usually we have at least a few, and I think we might have a different webinar link that became inactive when we rolled over the calendar. So that might be a fault on our part, but let's go ahead and let our participant here, so Moo, go ahead and ask a question for each of you to answer. And so Moo, I won't put you on the spot the whole time. I got plenty of other questions I can fill in for you. So go ahead and tell the owners where you're located and go ahead with a question that you'd like to have them answer today.
Okay, can you hear me okay now?
Sure can.
All right, wonderful. Yeah, I don't have questions. I just hopped on to see how this call goes. But as Don, Jim, and Kelly were talking, I had some questions in my mind. Maybe I'll ask those here. Typically, when we sign up for any sort of lease rental, right? It's for like 5 years. And I'm hearing, Jim, you say that you were there in your first facility for 2 years and you moved, right? So how do you manage that contract agreement? Yeah.
So getting the initial lease, and then how do you potentially move to other locations? So Jim, how have you done that? And then we'll turn the floor over to the other owners to address.
Yeah, my initial lease was 3 years, and that went by quickly. We used the commercial realtor that Signworld recommended initially, Arians. I think Jeannie, you can help, but and it went by quickly. He said, "No, you don't want more than 3 years because you're going to outgrow it," which I didn't believe. And 2 years in, I outgrew it. So before that expired, as I mentioned earlier, another bay became available. I signed a lease for that one and extended the current lease. And both of these expire again here in July, and I'm actively looking for more space. And hopefully, I'm strongly considering purchasing at this point. But yeah, I would not recommend getting into a lease on anything under 5,000 square feet for more than 4 or 5 years, because you will very likely outgrow it.
And the opposite, don't get a lease for too big of a space in the very beginning, because that becomes very
Sure.
expensive. So there's kind of that fine.
Unless you can sub it out, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Kelly, how about you? Tell us a little bit about how you secured your space and what your intentions are going forward.
Yep. So I used Rich. Rich is the Signworld guy. Very, very helpful. It got me a nice lease. We ended up on a 5 in large part, just because that's really what they had in these particular spaces that we were looking at, with a dock door and a drive-in door. Very hard to find for around 3,000-ish square feet. And so, the the thing is, when Rich and I talked to the landlord, well, I own multiple buildings, and it didn't really occur to me that those don't do you a lot of good. You got to be careful that you own the zip codes where he owns buildings, because it don't do you much good. So what we're trying to do with him now, with our landlord, is wait for one of these tenants to vacate and take down a wall. We've got plans to do it, and they're both on leases too. So we're kind of tracking it. They've come and gone. Some of these leases have come up, but they've been like in non-adjacent type units. So we'd have to go outside to get back into the other one, and it's just not convenient. So what we ended up doing in the meantime is we because we don't have the space, we took our entire garage and converted it into a shop. And we now, when we do vehicles, we use a neighbor's garage bays at $100 a day, which is pretty reasonable. He's got nice clean bays, a bunch of them. So it works out well. It works out okay for us. We're getting by. But as Jim said, we can't expand. We want to buy more equipment, and that's where we're really stuck right now. So we kind of are where we are. And I did sign another 3, but he assured me that one of these guys is going to Amscray next to me, and I'll be able to take in their space. So we'll see.
Perfect. And advice to an owner looking for a space today, what would you say is the perfect type of space or size that you think is ideal?
I don't think our space size is terrible. I think it's just a proportion. Unfortunately, as you know, Jeannie, we're probably 2/3 office and 1/3 shop. It should be the other way around. We don't need the office space. We rarely use it. We don't need it, and that's the problem. If it would be flipped, it would probably it would have been fine through 5 years for us at just under 3,300 square feet.
Perfect. And Don, how about you? I know it's going way back to the first location a long time ago, but tell us a little bit about your growth and how you got your first space and how you've evolved.
Well, we use Signworld's broker, but I'll tell you the answer. The first question you got to ask yourself is, what's your business look like over the next 5 to 10 years, right? And so we looked at what our business was going to look like year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and looked at how much space we would need in years 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then we would never sign a lease that was longer than what we thought we needed in that space. And then when we knew we were going to have to get, let's say it was year 2, and we knew in year 4 we'd need 5,000 square feet, we would start immediately looking for that space in year 2 before we were up on the first space. So it's a matter of the business plan drives the space needs. And if you have the business plan, then you really know what's going on. We were lucky enough in year 4 to be able to trick into a 9,000 square foot building that was at a great price, which was too big, but we took it and we filled it up in a couple of years. But, again, I think the first thing is, it's not how big the space is, it's how big the business is going to be and what kind of business you're going to have, and then how many years is it going to take you to get there, and then what's your plan to get into a lease, out of a lease, and into a new lease. So
definitely lots to think about for sure. So Moo, you got another question to follow that up, or I can go ahead and ask one that's a common question on these sessions.
Actually, I do, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. You're here. You get the floor. Go for it.
Thank you. That was really comprehensive answer. I mean, thank you guys. I mean, I think I probably asked on a simple question, but I think now I have better answers from you guys. So thank you. I was wondering, when your first year, right? Maybe more relevant for Kelly and Jim, your recent year, right? Sort of. In your first year, when you opened up and you did the marketing, all those things, did you already have contacts, like, in big, offices and corporates and small businesses and stuff that they were willing to work with you, or did they knock on the door because they saw your marketing and they wanted to get something done? How did it all work out in the last 5 years?
Yeah, how did you get your initial customers? I think it's a little different than it was when Don started, X years ago. So I'll let him go last. But let's ask our newest owners what they're doing to, not just acquire customers in that very beginning, that first, couple months, but overall what they're doing today too. I think it's great to kind of hear the evolution over time. So I'm going to do a reverse order. I'm going to let Kelly go first and share a little bit about how you got your initial customers.
Sure. Thanks. Yeah. So our first customer, we did rely on some of our, corporate, contacts to start the business. I think my first order was with a buddy whose wife was starting a bakery in one of her suites of her home. But by and large, we pay for lead generation through marketing companies that, provide leads for you at a cost. And qualified leads, and they're more or less, I mean, not necessarily contractually obligated, but they'll tell you what you should see and for what the investment is, and you can do the simple math and see that it's quite a good deal typically, and it's about your ability to convert them. That's really important. But after like years, I think probably about year 2.5 to 3, we flipped over to over half of our leads were now part of we're actually part of repeat business, right? And that's really what you want. The cost of acquisition is so much cheaper. I mean, they already know you, they know who their salesperson is, and they know that they can get what they want, and they'll pay for it. So that's where we started looking at it. Now, I would say we're closer to maybe 60% of our leads are all for repeat. And it's true. Once you start doing the right thing, do what you say what you do kind of thing, they'll come back. They don't want to start over. They want to know somebody in the sign business. When they need something, they'll come to them. And that's kind of where we are. So we started off with the market lead generation stuff, and now a lot of it's repeat. And we just supplement it with the lead generation mechanisms now.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing. Jem, how about you?
Yeah, I think I forgot to give my background. Before doing Signworld, I was HP supply chain operations, and most of my business contacts were not in Omaha. My contacts were in Houston or Palo Alto or Guadalajara, Mexico, or Bangalore, India, and so I really didn't have a lot of local contacts to go hit up right away. I, did do some networking through a BNI group. My understanding is those are very good. I was just in a very bad group that didn't really generate much in the way of leads for me, and I eventually dropped out of that. Like Kelly, the majority of my initial orders and leads came from our digital marketing efforts. So there were Google AdWord campaigns that, you pay per click on those that generate, they make the phone ring. And then as you exist longer online and Google starts recognizing you, you get more organic search results that, don't cost you other than the ongoing fees your digital marketing group charges to generate that organic growth. So we are probably about 50-50 right now. I haven't done a check recently, but more and more we get referral businesses, and we get good relationships with property managers and general contractors and things like that get us some preferred looks at new business. So I wouldn't, and some of those aren't even customers per se. They just like the way we work with their tenants and their properties. So those are, as Kelly said as well, those are very good leads because one, I'm not paying for them, and they just keep coming back.
Yeah, perfect. Love it. Don, how about you? I know website presence wasn't very big back in the day, but
it's not that bad. We had website presence. We got a lot of stuff off the website. Did a lot of networking. The first 3 to 5 years is a lot of pick and shovel work as you try to establish yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But now 15 years in, 85% of my money is from existing customers, and of the other 15%, half of that's from referrals from existing customers, and the other half is from the internet. So it builds up over time. We always say, I have customers. I had a customer yesterday that contacted me that bought a sign 12 years ago and wants another sign after 12 years. I figured, what the heck, right? I had another customer that came to me that he was a referral to me. He called me up and says, I want you to wrap my trucks. I said, okay, I'll wrap your trucks. He goes, you don't remember me, do you? I said, no. He goes, I spoke with you before. about another business he was in. I said, oh yeah, okay. so yeah, it's one of those things where you just treat people the way they want to be treated, and you do what you're supposed to do, and customers wind up liking you, and they come back and they trust you to do the job right. So
Yeah, so this is an off-ball question. I'm going to just add to this topic, and I don't know the answer to it myself. I have an estimate, but I'd like to kind of hear if you guys might know off the top of your head. How many total annual customers ordered from you in 2025? Like when you look at your 2025 revenue, what did that consist of as far as total number of customers? Any of you happen to know that data or have an estimate? It doesn't need to be an exact, but just an approximation. I'll let you come off of mute if you know. I see Don's pulling out his book. I'll give him a second to find his page. Kelly, do you happen to know that answer? Rough estimate?
No, I should. I mean, I would just have to look at what we booked or closed and the average order size. That's about as close as I could get. I never really dug into it, to be fair.
Do you feel like it's over 100, over 200 total customers?
Well, surely, yeah, yeah. I mean, our average order size, I don't know, somewhere around 3,500 or something like that. So, yeah, and you're booking, $2 million, it's gonna add
Well,
up.
that's number of orders. I'm just curious how many total customers you're
Oh, you
actually
mean
supporting.
within that same grouping,
Mhm.
unique customers in an annual basis?
Correct.
Yeah, that's probably closer to what you said initially there. Then, yeah,
200.
a couple
Yeah.
hundred. Yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
How about you, Jim? Any idea?
Yeah, I would be guessing again as well, but it's probably between 200 and 400. We do, some very large. Obviously, there's probably 30 customers that made up, 50% of our business, and the rest, there's a very long tail.
Yeah.
People who want, small stuff and never come back. So I would guess somewhere in the 250 to 350 range.
Okay. Well, Don's closed his book, so he must know the answer to this question.
Seven-
Don,
seven- 723.
okay, for over 6 million in revenue. So, yeah, perfect. I tend to think it's usually between 100 to 200 per million in general. So, that's a good estimate. So, perfect. All right. So, Moo, you got a follow-up question to that, or you want me to go ahead with one?
I have two more.
Go for it.
Yeah, maybe I'll start with the Don this time. Don, you mentioned you had a customer with multiple who does multiple states, right? So you actually had some work done in multiple states, and you involved other Signworld partners. Can you elaborate on that? Like, so you give the work to them, or you work with them to get that work?
So I'll give you the perfect example. So we have several customers that have nationwide presences, right? They're either franchise or franchisee relationships, or they're a corporate entity in Atlanta that is opening locations nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
So we will design the sign, we will produce the sign, we will permit the sign in my office in Beaufort, and then I will hire another sign company somewhere else to receive the sign and install the sign. We always try to defer to Signworld owners first in the first place, and a lot of times we are able to defer to those Signworld owners. But there's some areas of the country where there are no Signworld owners that we wish there were Signworld owners that we have to use other people. I think last year we probably wrote checks to 60 to 65 Signworld owners who actually did subcontracting work for us somewhere across the country. So I guess that's about 20% of the Signworld owners, Jeannie.
Yeah,
So,
roughly. So
yeah.
in general, though, that's still your customer. You're not giving away the project that owns
No, they're
a
just
subcontractor.
yeah, and there's a lot of national sign companies that will request a local sign company to do installation for them. So we do a lot of work in my area for companies that are outside of our area that they want us to do installation work and stuff like that.
Very good. Thanks, Don. How about you, Kelly? Do you ever do projects outside of your local market? And how do you do it?
Absolutely. I do. And I think that's when you start out, that's one of the things a lot of people miss starting out. That is really the value. I mean, your business is much more valuable as a national business than as a local business. And tapping into the sign world. Yeah, we've done business in, I think it's 37 different states, both sides. We've had people Steve Livingston just gave us a job. I think Dick did, in Wisconsin for some of their clients to do installs or in this area. And similarly, we do the same thing as Don was talking about. We fab and ship them to other people. But that's a great untapped source to grow quickly, is to leverage the Signworld network and to do things nationally, especially and that's exactly how it started for us. It was a company called Lynn & King out of Cudahy, Wisconsin, and we've done business now, I think, in 9 different states with different people. We're not driving there to install in down in Louisiana, but it's our customer, it's our business, and we take care of it for the client. We project manage it and get it done. So no, I think that's a great value doing that, utilizing that.
Awesome. And Jim, how about you? Have you also done projects out of your area, and tell us more how you did that?
Yeah, yeah. It usually starts with a company that's based in your market. Like right now, we've got a company that we did all the signs for, and they are now opening a location in St. Louis. So I've reached out to John over at Signature Signs, so he's going to go and do the survey for me and permitting, and we will send signs out to him. Maybe have him build some of the larger ones, and maybe cheaper than shipping stuff out there. So yes, and we get a lot of requests to do installs like that as well, both from Signworld, and our digital marketing allows us to be visible to other big national sign companies that are doing the same thing. They need permitting, surveys, and installation locally for national brands. So companies like Shields, we do a lot for them locally from other brands or from other sign companies. So we get a lot of that type of requests, and we are starting to do more of those requests outbound. So we, like Don said, we also start with Signworld folks in the region if they are there and they have the capabilities.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for those responses. Samu, got another one? Otherwise, I got a list. Let me know.
Yeah, I think I'll hold for now, but thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yep. Well, I'll come back to you in case you come up with another one. So,
Sure.
so I'm just going to take an opportunity to ask other questions that I know are often common questions and concerns for prospective owners. Competition, that's always a big concern. There's a lot of signs out there. There's also a lot of sign companies. Go back to the beginning. What did you think about your competitors at the time, and what do you think about them today? Is it a true threat to you, or how do you position against that? I'm going to go in reverse order, so I'm going to start with you first, Jim.
Okay. I was very nervous about competition when I started because I didn't know what I was getting into. And, I would Google sign companies in Omaha, and I would see lots of big fancy websites and have a little bit of imposter syndrome, like how do I compete against these guys? And it quickly, quelled that anxiety just getting into the business. I always tell people, I mean, a sign company, there are hundreds of sign companies in every market, and most of them are little guys who are print shops and don't do a whole lot. Others, some are just focus on vehicle wraps, et but there's almost always way more business than there is a need for than all the sign companies can handle. So answering the phone and responding to them, you're going to get a lot of business provided you're doing what you say and saying what you do. So I compare it to like a gas station in some ways. There are so many signs. I mean, I don't think somebody opening a gas station is going to freak out that there's another gas station 4 blocks up the road, or a restaurant. There is a lot of business. And for all the signs you see, there's probably 50 that you don't.
Yep. Love it. How about you, Kelly?
Yeah, kind of a lot of what Jim said. Yeah, I was nervous at first too, and they were like, I think there were 5, maybe 6 Signworld owners alone within, if you have a decent arm, hitting them with a rock from where our shop is. I mean, they're not that far apart. I mean, they're partitioned, but they're not that far. And then there's all the others. I mean, there's franchises everywhere around us, and so I was worried about it, but honestly, there's so much business. If you just do a good job following up, I don't know. I'm sure I've lost some business to some people. The people that I probably lost it to are people that are very in the industry for a long time, like other Signworld guys. But for me, the Signworld guys, those are just opportunities. Some of my biggest orders have been with Chad out of Innovative. So we partner on stuff all the time because he's got large equipment. He has crane operators, and I don't have that. So that's just a great, I can do that job, and you just leverage all that. But from the competition, I really don't, we have more leads than, we're not converting enough of the leads we're getting, even frankly. So we have more than enough business in spite of the competition.
Perfect. Don, how about you? I know you got some
Well,
opinions about competition.
we get tons of competition, but no one's as good as we are. So we're always at that point in time. No, in reality is you just got to be better than the next guy. And we're always better than most of our competition because most of our competition are contractors who don't know how to run an actual business. We're just business people trying to run a sign company. So we do a lot of statusing. We keep our customers up to date on things, and we do what we say and say what we do. Our guarantee. I got to read my guarantee to you. It's and we promise to do what we promise we do when we said we would do it for the price we agreed upon. So that's the guarantee that we give to our customers. So they kind of like that.
Love it. So if you guys had to give advice as to what it takes to be better than your competition, give me your top 3 tips. And I know they might be somewhat repetitive, but I'm going to go back to Jim. Jim, advice, top 3 reasons that you win business as a brand new owner.
Number one, answer the phone. We answer the phone it's very rare that a phone goes to voicemail. I mean, after hours it will, but people are always stunned. You would hear it on these webinars from Signworld that customers are shocked when somebody answered the phone, but they really are. A lot of times, Dana, our office manager, will answer the phone, and people will say, "Are you AI?" No, yeah, I'm a person. What can I help you with? So it's unusual. Then get out and meet the customer as quickly as you can. Respond quickly. And as Don said, a lot of the competition is people from the industry who've never run a business, they've never project managed or done multiple jobs concurrently, and be able to communicate to corporate customers the way that a lot of the Signworld shop owners can, because we have a corporate background and we're prepared to speak their language rather than, not to put down blue collar folks, but it's our target customers are relatable to the industries we came from, and we can communicate and give them assurances that a lot of the people who've grown up locally just don't have that skill.
Yeah, yeah, very good feedback there. Kelly, anything to add to that? What would you say?
Other than, responding quickly is very important, and showing up, with the proper attitude, it just blows people away. My very first job that I got, I remember the guy literally told me I was the 3rd person coming in. He goes, "You're the first one, you have the job. You're the first one that came in and was actually sober." I mean, that's how low the bar is. So you show up there, but then what we do now is important. I think it's just as much is the communication. You got to follow up. You got to be timely. You got to know. You got to know that if you qualify the customer and you want them, you got to be like a dog on a bone, and they got to know that you want them, and then you're going to convert them. So you got to keep the communication up to the point where, we've had people say, because we have a process in place for follow up, that, "Hey, I told you we're going to meet on this. I told you we're trying to get this figured out." But our retort always is like, that's the same level of communication you're going to have with us when we win your order. We're going to be keeping you in the loop the entire process. This is our process. We over communicate, and people, that's awesome, and you win. But not hearing from people, not following up, that oftentimes initially for us would lose us business. We just weren't there, and someone else was kind of like we wanted to be, where they were on top of that and they were following up quickly and they were ahead of us, 2 steps ahead. So having timely communication with your customers and even potential customers is key.
Absolutely. How about you, Don? Anything to add to that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
When I started out, the answer to that were the 3 things you should do. It was answer the phone, and answer the phone. And I still think that rings true. It's kind of sad to me when I actually run into a new Signworld owner, and he's been in business for three or 4 months, and he's using a AI attendant to answer the phone. It's just not the personal touch that a lot of small businesses who you're dealing with like to see. They like to see the owner, and they like to have the personal touch of someone answering the phone. So.
Perfect. All right. Let's Samu, a question. Otherwise, I got a second one.
Yes. Just wondering, like, if you were to bucket the different orders that you get, like, do you get like more banner orders, or is it more signs, like big signs outside the stores? How do you bucket the orders that's coming in? Like, what's the top three, if you will?
So I'm going to add to that question. Think of your initial orders in the very beginning, and what are your order categories today? And if you have allocation percentages or ranges that you can share, that'd be great. So let's start with Kelly first. Kelly, go ahead and share what kind of projects you did initially and what you're focusing on now.
Yep. So initially, we did everything. We were wide open, kind of a jack of all trades, and that's to be understood. You're trying to build a name, you're trying to get your name out there, and you're trying to learn. So you want to get dirty with anything that you can get dirty with. And some of them, even if the margins aren't great, you still want the business and the experience and your website collateral that you need to drive more orders with happy customers. So we did a lot of that, but over time, you kind of have to like tweak the engine to get what you want. Once you figure out around year 2 or 3 what you're good at or what you want to be good at, you kind of tweak your marketing, your spend to get the kind of leads that you're looking for. So initially we were kind of everything. I think we probably did one of every sign. I think I made it a point to make sure that I was personally involved in building one of every single kind of sign there was. But now we're very heavy into what we do is we like electric signs. We like illumination, bigger signs. They're more where we are. Well, oftentimes they have legs beyond, means to an end. But the customers are qualified such that we're looking for ones that have multiple sites. And you can, once you get a channel set built for somebody and they have 3 sites, clearly you leverage that. So now I would say 65 to 75% of the raw leads that we get in are for channel letters or some type of an electrical sign. And that was nice to do initially, the banners and the coroplasts and those types of things. But if they come in and if it's a repeat customer or a neighbor, yeah, sure, we'll help you out. But we oftentimes we kind of send them to someone else, is a new owner or some smaller business that maybe they're better at these types of things.
Perfect. Before I go to Jim next, I am going to start sharing in just the background. There's no audio to it, but there's a slideshow I'm going to share that kind of shows some of our Signworld owners and their physical locations. It also shows a lot of the types of sign projects our owners are doing, both in-house and outsourced if they have a physical location. So I'm going to share that while we continue with the response to the question. So Jim, back to you. What percentage of your projects are banners and things like that versus what are you focusing on now, both in the beginning and where you are today?
Yeah, I guess it's a different answer if you're talking about dollars versus number of projects. Early on, we were doing everything just as Kelly was. Lots of banners, lots of yard signs, people wanting decals, or somebody wanting to come in and put a picture of their dog on the back window of their car or something like that. And we were taking all of those orders, learning while we were. I don't think we've made a banner in the last 2 years. Maybe somebody who wanted something urgently and couldn't get it online or from somebody else, and only for somebody who's a major customer of ours already. If it's somebody wanting a birthday banner for their grandma's 80th, we don't do those at all. We do sometimes get large company banners or local school wants 100 yard signs or things like that. And we take those orders, but I immediately send them to wholesale. We send the artwork out, they make them super fast and get it to me in a day or 2. And from there, we'll mark it up 100% and the customer comes and picks it up. But I don't waste the team's time fabricating banners or yard signs or decals or things like that anymore at all. We focus primarily on we're exclusively business to business now. I don't deal with people wanting a man cave sign or something with their sports team on it, or we don't do personal vehicle color changes or things like that. So the majority of our money and our projects right now are in channel letters, monument signs. We make and install a lot of lobby signs, and we'll do fleet graphics, and we do a lot of other of those, wall murals and even window frost for our corporate clients.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that response, Jim. Don, how about you? You do banners?
I just printed 125 banners for 125 different locations for my biggest customer. So yes, I print banners. I print banners, I put stickers, I print yard signs, I do channel letters, I do monument signs, I do electrical signs, I do dimensional letters. I'm like Larry, Darrell, and Darrell from the old Newhart show. But we don't do personal stuff. We just do business stuff. I mean, I'm certainly not going to do, and I'm not going to go. I'll go back. So let me step back for a second. Also on vehicle wraps, we don't go out and look for vehicle wraps. 98% of the vehicle wraps we do are for the fleets that we've already done. So, it's the heating and air company that got a new truck or the electrician that got a new truck. So we don't solicit that, but we do it when our customers get new vehicles or like a lot of the heating and air people get into accidents with their vehicles and need fenders replaced or back doors replaced or stuff like that. But, I mean, we specialize in customers. We look for customers that are buying for multiple locations across multiple states and multiple locations, right? So we could have a apartment complex, management company, and they need a pool sign for 15 other locations, right? One pool sign might cost $95. 15 pool signs cost $1,500, right? I have a property management company, a commercial property management company that manages 35 buildings across Atlanta. They might want their monument sign redone for $125,000, or they may need a tenant in one suite change for $150, right? So it's really specializing in customers versus in products, and whatever that customer wants, we'll do.
Great. Thank you, Don. Samu, another question? Otherwise, I do have one more.
Sorry, I was just looking for the audio button to mute, unmute. No, this works. Thank you, guys. One more. So, just curious, how do you have all the different facilities to do all these different things? Like, do you purchase all these things over time? All these machines that you need for different kind of signs, whether it is monument or channel or banners?
Yeah, it's a really good question. If I can just add a little bit to it, especially since we have a lot of owners starting their sign businesses today without necessarily jumping right into a physical space and outsourcing all the production needs. So let's kind of maybe add to, when you first started your sign company, all of you did start physically, but that might have taken a little bit of time. I know, Kelly, you took a little longer to find your space. I can't remember, Jim, how long it took to find yours. But talk about, what you did when you first signed your contract, and if you got any initial orders, what'd you do then? And then when you did get your initial space, what were you capable of making, and what'd you do for the projects that you weren't capable of making? And then equipment you've acquired over time, why you chose to do that. So I know it's a loaded question. Let's start with Kelly first.
Sure. Yes, exactly. So I did. I for the first 6 months of my business, roughly before we got our lease, I worked out of my home, and the name of the game there is, building a network of partners, suppliers, people that you can do things with. Because clearly, I'm not going to be making things in my dining room where I was actually sitting. So it afforded me the opportunity to build those relationships. And there's a lot of people that will be at the ready, especially the Signworld people. Like, and I mentioned Chad, I tapped into Chad, and I think I did stuff with Brian right out of the gate, because I knew that they could just help me in different capacities to get going. It's a wealth of information just going through the project, but money was sticking to my fingers and I wasn't doing anything. And then there's some Signworld partners that we have decent discounts with, that, you can mark up and make good money, never even starting a machine. And so again, I did that for about 6 months. Again, didn't have anything to do. I did do some of the installs. I used a company like Gemini. And so we learned how to install, studs and VHB and type letters. So you can learn all those things as you're going forward. But then eventually, we moved in here, and what flipped there is like your margins increased because you could start doing a lot of this on your own. I mean, that's the, the downside of partnering with some people is, your margins won't be there. So our margins increased, but then after about year 3, we always, and I think Jack always used to say, don't go buying a piece of equipment until you demonstrate the need for it, right? That you can almost do it on mathematically to determine, it's going to pay itself off in X amount of time just by the business I'm farming out. So we bought a router, and I know a lot of people do that. That's one of the first pieces of equipment that people buy beyond the standard package, but you can get by. A lot of people, others are still on the standard package, as I understand it, kind of making their way with it. But we wanted the router because we brought a mechanical type person in that enjoyed doing those things, enjoyed 3D modeling. And then we started taking off with that. And even today, a lot of the subcomponents you can buy, you don't have to buy an entire channel letter. You can buy, 2/3, a third of the components and parts and do the final assembly just to increase your margins internally if it makes, sense from a margin perspective. So the longer we went forward like that, we just bring more and more in-house where it makes sense to increase our margins or to capitalize on the time to market. And that's one of the things the router did, because we could crank things faster than Gemini could. If it's, we could do it over a weekend. If it's a premium order and they're paying for it, we'll just run it over the weekend and get it done. So I guess that's about the only real big piece of equipment that we bought, that's of any substances, that we didn't buy a bender yet or anything like that, channel bender. So it's really the routers above and beyond the original scope that we had from Signworld.
So today, how much of your sales, I'll say sales, not orders, but what percentage of revenue do you feel you outsource to others to make for you?
Oh, I would say about 40.
40% is outsourced. Okay, very good. Jim, how about you?
Well, early on, we were lucky to get space right away before I got my equipment and before our website went live. So once we were in business, it was, as discussed earlier, it was the doing banners and everything early on. Those were the type of orders that were coming in. But shortly thereafter, we started getting leads for vehicle wraps or channel letters or lobby signs. So I recall our first ever channel letter order. We went with, I consulted with Chad out in yours and Kelly's neighborhood, and he made it for me and shipped it out, and we hired somebody to install it. Since then, we probably do, a couple of channel letter sets a week now. And I outsource all of those still. I don't, have a channel bender. I don't think I ever will. Wholesalers are cheaper than I ever could. And whereas we were making a lot of banners earlier, we still sell a lot of banners. I just sell all of them out. They make them better and faster than I could. So, they have sewn hems with webbing and extra, reinforcements, and they can do, 10 feet by 50 feet. And so I order them and I get them the next day and, deliver them to customers. So as far as percent, it's probably still pretty high. I even sub out a lot of installation just because you can't be an expert at everything you do. The majority of what we're doing in-house, we do a lot of illuminated or non-illuminated indoor and outdoor signage other than channel letters, but we'll, and they're not all 100% one thing or the other. We'll order channel letters and then mount them to a control cabinet and paint it and install it, for example. So percentage-wise, I'd still say probably of our revenue, we're probably 60% outsourced.
Wonderful. Thanks for that response. Don, you've obviously expanded significantly as a very large operator today. Tell a little bit about that journey and what percent do you outsource now, and maybe talk a little bit about the equipment you acquired. I know it's quite a long list, but if you can summarize, that'd be great. What don't you make in-house? Let's start with that. That's probably a shorter list.
Gemini letters and molded pan faces.
Okay.
That's it. No, when you start out, you're starting out with a package and everything else that you want, whether it's channel letters, dimensional letters, whatever, you could find a partner to outsource that stuff to. Once you're doing a significant amount of stuff of outsourcing of one type of product, then you decide to go ahead and purchase the equipment. Once you purchase the equipment, then you go ahead and increase your margin. Most of the times when we bought a piece of equipment, it wasn't to lower our cost. It was to increase turnaround speed, because our watchword is velocity and getting things through the system. So if it was taking our subcontractors 6 weeks to make channel letters, and we can do it in 2 weeks, we do it in 2 weeks and bring it in house. The only thing I would caution you is there's two things to caution about. One, do you have the space to do it? And B, do you have the employees that know how to do it? Because you can have a piece of equipment sitting around doing nothing if you don't have someone that either knows how to operate a bucket truck or operate a router or operate a bender. We started out with a normal package. We added routers, then we added additional printers, including flatbed printers. Then we added bucket trucks. Then we added fabrication material, fabrication stuff like welders and channel benders and things like that. But again, it was all driven by how quickly we can get the product to the customer, because that's, speed kills in this business. And when we can get things to customers faster than other people can get it to customers, we typically win the bid 99% of the time. So.
Very good. All good responses. Thank you for that. Samu, I got time for maybe one more question if you got one more on your list.
No, I think I'm good. Thanks.
All right. Well, I will allow our owners, or not allow, but we'll cut this short just a little bit so they can get on with their day and all their activities. Kelly, Jim, and Don, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your thoughts and perspectives. We really appreciate it. And
thank you guys.
Samu, we
really appreciate all the time that you guys spent with us.
Yeah, we appreciate you joining today too, Samu. And for future attendees watching this recording, we appreciate your time listening to our owners share their experiences about the business. And we look forward to the future conversations to see if this is the right fit for all of you. But we'll conclude today. Hope everybody has a great Wednesday and the rest of the week, and take care. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeannie.
Thanks.